I am watching right now both the BKFC Bare-Knuckle fight um, and the Diego Pacheco Steven Nelson undercard. I'm watching both simultaneously. I was also trying to catch a little bit of the PFL MMA card, but um, they stopped broadcasting their live stream for free because I guess now they want you to buy the pay-per-view for the main card. But yeah, I'm not doing that. So what we have going on right now is in the boxing ring we have I think it's former champion Jose Pedraza is being brought in as the opponent for Mercado. Um, they are in the third of 10 rounds. I would say at this point Mercado probably is ahead on the scorecards, but just from watching Pedraza move around the ring, you can tell he's a little bit more of the sophisticated fighter than Mercado. Lots of great subtle head movement from Pedraza, but there's just more output from Mercado at this point. Hi, Ellis Vlogs. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for always commenting on my Instagram and on my YouTube. I really appreciate it. Who else do we have here? Are you guys watching boxing tonight, or are you watching PFL or BKFC? Okay, so in the boxing ring, I would say Mercado has a really nice, sharp, razor sharp spearing jab. I would hope that he starts to put more punches behind that jab. Pedraza has really sophisticated defense. He's got really nice, smooth footwork, and he slips Mercado's punches very well. But he needs to pick up his punch output just a little bit. Thank you so much, Alice Vlogs. Really appreciate you, all your positivity. Who else is here? Are you guys watching boxing tonight? Are you watching MMA? I will also tell you, hey, I really don't watch bare knuckle fighting. I'm not really into it, but what intrigues me is the main event on that BKFC card is two familiar faces from the UFC. We have Eddie Alvarez taking on Jeremy Stevens in bare knuckle fighting. So that's where my interest lies in that. Now, I also suspect that BKFC might take away their free live stream for the main event, but I guess I will find out. Same thing might happen here with Pacheco versus Nelson. Hi there. Who's that? Sorry, my eyes are really bad. I can't read fine writing, fine print. But hi to whoever joined us. Are you guys going to watch the boxing fights tonight? Oh, okay. So now we have Pacheco starting to pick it up in the fourth round. He did land a nice jab to the head, right hand to the body. Both Pacheco and Mercado are fighting out of orthodox stance. Pacheco uses a really nice sort of shuffle steps to close distance on Mercado. Mercado's footwork is he's a little bit wide stanced. It's not as, subtle as Pacheco. And Mercado's kind of fighting up with his chin up just a little bit. Oh, nice combination. He drops Pacheco with a hard jab overhand right. Pacheco's on his rear end. And looks like he's going to rise to beat the count. Oh my goodness, the ref waved it off. That's crazy. I'm not sure what he saw, but yeah, ref just waved Pedraza off. That's a shame. Well, congrats to Mercado and Team Mercado. They get a stoppage win on their record. Who else is here? Say hi. That was a nice little right uppercut, kind of overhand right, kind of sort of on the back of the head, but As Pedraza was falling down, Mercado made that motion across his neck, you know? So I guess he figured Pedraza was not getting up from that. Okay, let's see what's going on here in BKFC. We have, oh, they're showing us, oh, okay, we've gone backwards in time with BKFC. So they're showing us some of the preliminary fights. I'm gonna have to see if I can find another live stream. One sec. Am I a teacher? Yes, I am a teacher. What was the giveaway? I'm also a fighter. Thank you. You can see some of my fights on the channel. A lot of my previous fights, they have like a purple thumbnail. So, okay, so now in the boxing ring, we're gonna go for the official announcement about Mercado stopping Pedraza. But Ernesto Mercado, that's it. Okay, so they're clearly bringing him along, so I guess we'll see more of him. Yeah, he's 16-0 with 15 KOs at this point, so they are definitely building this kid. You're a thumb wrestler? Okay. Okay. Are any of you guys watching BKFC? Any of you guys watching boxing? Do any of you guys watch BKFC? Where am I from? I'm from the United States. Yeah, I wasn't able to pick location for whatever reason. Where are you guys from? Right, so they're from Canada. Oh, cool. What part of Canada? Oh, California, nice. Oklahoma? I fought once in Oklahoma. Versus Stephanie Dobbs, because that's where she's from. Unfortunately, I don't have that fight. I would love to have that fight on tape or copy of that fight versus Dobbs in Oklahoma, but if anybody comes across it, please do let me know. All right, we're still showing Tito Mercado posing in the ring post-fight after his victory. Oh, you're in Ontario. Cool. I actually grew up in Ottawa, believe it or not. what city in Ontario? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to give away too much information. Let's see. Still looking to see if I can pick up a BKFC stream, but boxing, we're just killing time between fights. Let's see, forgot. Do any of you guys watch BKFC? I don't typically. Okay, sorry guys, we're still looking for that BKFC stream. Can't promise you if I'll be able to get that or not. Alright, but boxing wise, okay, we're waiting on the next fight. Looks like it's Andy Cruz versus Omar Salcido for a minor belt, I believe. Okay, and then we just cut to commercial. So does the Jones-Aspinall fight happen? Jon Jones has to get in the mood for that or something, right? He's, I won't say ducking, but I mean, he called out Alex, which doesn't make any sense for Alex. Like, why would Alex move up like that? Maybe if Jones moved back down, it would make sense for Alex to fight him. But, what Jones is doing is just sort of sidestepping and avoiding the question about him fighting Aspinall. And then, of course, his excuse for Aspinall is that Aspinall doesn't bring it as much to the table, meaning, I guess, John feels that a fight between him and Alex Pereira would bring more eyeballs and therefore more money. But in all honesty, if Aspinall's next in line, that's who he should fight, right? In the end, I mean, Dana said that John versus Alex Poatan will not happen. So, I mean, the ball's all in John's court, really, because he could just walk away at this point. You think Jones is dodging him? Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. For whatever reason, I mean, in all honesty, I don't know. It's just lame to me for somebody to call out somebody else in a lighter weight division. It's just lame, It's easy to be generous. It's easy to be generous with someone else's money, right? It's also easy to be generous when somebody else is at the weight disadvantage and you have the weight advantage of a whole nother division. So, in any case, how do you guys think Izzy will fare next week? I think next weekend. I think he's fighting. Are you guys gonna watch MMA or are you gonna watch boxing? Morel versus Benavidez. Who do you guys have in Morel versus Benavidez? Oh, who's Izzy fighting? Let me find out for you. I know, that even escapes my memory at the moment. Good night. Oh, he's fighting Imavov. I think. Hold on. Yeah. Israel is fighting Nasruddin Imavov. who's from France. Co-main is Shara Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page. That could be interesting. We also have Sergey Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. And Said Nurmagomedov versus Vincius Oliveira. I don't know if I said his name right, his first name, but who else? And this, by the way, this is the card in Saudi Arabia, which I was kind of surprised that they had so many Dagestani fighters on the LA card, just because usually, they put the Eastern European guys on in Saudi Arabia. Where am I from? I'm from SoCal, United States of America. Yeah, this Saudi Arabia card next weekend is loaded with guys from Eastern Europe. We have also on the card we have Ikram Aliskarov versus Andre Muniz, and Mohammed Naimov versus Khan Ofli. Shamil Gaziev versus Thomas Peterson. Abdul Karim Al Salwabi versus Bolaji Oki. Most of these guys I have not heard of. Okay, we have Terrence McKinney versus Demir Hadzovic. Fares Ziam versus Mike Davis. And Jasmine Jazavidius versus Myra Bueno Silva. I have heard of both of those women. We have Bogan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. Hamdi Adel Wahab versus Jamal Pogues. Yeah, so interesting card, kind of. I don't know much about Nasruddin Imavov, so hard for me to say right now what I think of that main event. What do I think about Brazilian fighters? Great judo and great jiu-jitsu. I think that for a lot of the Brazilian fighters, growing up through hardship really forces them to develop some internal strength, meaning they have character. They're not going to just quit mentally at the first sort of sign of, maybe you're losing this fight. They're not going to just dry up, wither, and get blown away in the wind. A Brazilian who, say, comes from Sao Paulo, they know how to just bite down on their mouthpiece and keep fighting. And of course, if they grew up in sort of the culture of BJJ or judo in Brazil, there's just so many bodies for them to work with. So to get to the top of the heap in Brazil, you've got to be really good. You got to be international quality. Okay, so right now we're taking a break from the action in the boxing ring. Just doing a lot of talking. Thank you so much. I appreciate the encouragement. I'm sorry, it's really hard for me to see the names because they're so small. But thank you so much. I see your name starts with the letter H, but I appreciate the positive. Guys, if you're into it, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications so you know when we're doing a live, or you can see the next bit of content that I post. There's some videos that will go public tomorrow at around noon Pacific Standard Time. If you would like early access to everything, definitely consider joining the channel as a member, because members get early access to a lot of the content that I make. Okay, so now we're doing, for the Zone, they're doing a little stand-up interview with Joseph Parker. Oh, so you're from Sao Paulo. Oh, don't worry about your English is perfect. So interestingly enough, Sao Paulo is the one place in South America that I visited, and I got to go as part of a Nikkei group to meet other Nikkei like from South and Central America. So that was pretty cool because like Japanese Americans, Japanese Canadians, we think we're pretty cool, but then when we went to Sao Paulo, like you guys are way, way cooler than us, for sure. All the Brazilians really know how to party way better than Americans. That what's that drink called? A caipirinha? Oh man, that is so good. I don't drink, but that's a really great drink. Plus, you guys have nightclubs open every night of the week, it seems like. So, in any case, yeah, it was the people in Sao Paulo were wonderful, wonderful hosts and um, took really great care of us. And then, of course, in terms of like just caipirinha is really good. Yeah, it's a nice drink. So is that like, is a caipirinha specific to Brazil? Like Brazilians invented that drink? I did have a friend from Brazil come visit New York, and then he made us some. Like I remember he had to mash stuff up and all this. It was a little bit of work, but it was, yeah, one of my favorite drinks for sure. You just watched the Dobbs fight? Oh, cool. Which one? We actually fought 3 times, so 2 of them are posted on my channel. Our our first 2 fights, and as I was saying, there was a third fight where we fought in Oklahoma, 10 rounder, and unfortunately, I never got footage of that. But it was a really good fight. It ended it as a draw. So yeah, we both fought our butts off. Actually, in all 3 fights, but that one being the 10 rounder. I mean, of course, you get to see more action. 10 2-minute rounds. Okay, so any of you guys watching Bare Knuckle? Because at the moment, I'm not able to find a live stream, but let me try again. The second one, yeah, that was good. That was a good fight. That was a lot of I did a lot of work to get ready for that fight. Um, that was pretty cool because after that fight, Stephanie came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, how did you, how do you like get conditioned? Because I was older than her, but she's like, you came out strong for the last rounds." She goes, "I couldn't believe it." Um, but that's a little trade secret to get into that type of shape for a fight. There's certain things you can do to just push yourself to that next level. All right, guys. I don't know. Are any of you guys watching Bare Knuckle? Or are you watching boxing? Right now for the Zone boxing card, we are looking at footage back in the change room of a fighter doing mitts with his trainer. I think that was Stephen Nelson. And now we're cutting to just stand up talking between 2 dudes in suits without a tie. One of my pet peeves, and they're wearing sneakers. Chris Mannix gets the thumbs down on his outfit. Not that that matters. It's not going to affect his paycheck, but just got to throw my 2 cents in there. It's one of my pet peeves when dudes wear a suit jacket and then a crappy t-shirt underneath. If if you don't want to wear this, the shirt with a tie, I get it. So then do what Eddie Hearn did, which is he just wears a sweater or what you British guys call a jumper and some nice slacks and dress shoes. But the suit jacket with a t-shirt, slacks, and sneakers, thumbs down. Okay. Okay, we're still looking at change room now of Diego Pacheco. He's just doing a little stretching kind of exercises. And this is being brought to us from Las Vegas as they cut to some B-roll of Vegas, telling us, oh, sorry, my fault. We were just looking at footage of the next fight, I think, which is Cruz versus Salcido. So let's see. Again, we're just between fights here in boxing. So now we cut to the ring announcer, David Diamante, who I'm not a fan of just because his ridiculous dreads kind of creep me out. But again, all right, so now he's announcing the next fight, which I think is Omar Salcido. I think that's his first name. So Salcido enters the ring. Representing Mexico. He's got a waving the Mexican flag in his corner. What did you think of that second Dobbs fight, by the way? Okay, now we have Cruz making his ring walk. It's kind of weird to me that how they do this now, where they have a ramp right to the ring that's on level with the ring, and the fighter just walks out by themselves. They don't come out with their corner. Their corner's already in the ring. I mean, that's just kind of like so not how it is normally or has been traditionally done, even through the amateurs. You walk to the ring with your corner, like you're going to battle. You kind of want to feel like you got an army with you, right? I don't know. That's just me. But I don't know if that's just because they feel it makes for better TV for a fighter to make their ring walk down a ramp, or they're stealing that from MMA, where because I've seen that in a lot of MMA promotions where fighters come out from the same entrance, they walk down a ramp to the cage, and yeah, meet their corner in the cage. Of course, there's no corners really in the octagon, but they meet their corner in the obtuse angle that they're assigned to, I guess. All right. So now we have both Salcido and Cruz in the ring. And the referee for this fight is Raul Kaiz Jr. Shama. Yeah, Alex is definitely one of my favorite fighters. The precision on his punch is just incredible, and he has exactly perfect placement with that left hook, and he knows how to generate effective power without loading up, without opening up his left hand for a hook. It's really nice and tight, and it finds the target. So I think I said this already, but I'll say it again. If Yuri Prohaska wants a third fight with Alex, same outcome. Alex knocks him out. All that movement that Yuri was doing in his last fight was it's better to move your head than not to move it at all, but he was making a lot of uncoordinated herky-jerky type moves, so he still needs to work on that. He still needs to do a lot of drilling, partner drilling, and then controlled sparring to learn how to move his head away from a punch at the right moment and then come back with a counter. Or at least, at the very least, just how to move his head at the right moment to not get hit. All right, hammer. Oh yeah, okay, I remember you from last stream. How are you doing? All right, so here we go. We're about to get started. Two fighters walking to the center of the ring. We have Cruz versus Salcido. And we have Jose Benavides Sr. working Salcido's corner. Still training. I'm still training for sure. All right, I think it's, is it Chris that made a comment? Just, Alex is one of your favorite fighters? Okay, here we go with this boxing fight. All right, so we have both men. Cruz and Salcido both are fighting out of orthodox stance. Both keeping that double high guard. And they're already starting off kind of at mid-range. Cruz throwing out some hard jabs, just landing on Salcido's gloves. So Salcido's opening up with a variety of punches, like left hook head, left hook to the body. Salcido comes with a big right hand and completely misses. Cruz is landing double jabs to Salcido's gloves and then tries to throw a right hand behind it. Hammer says still training. I don't know if that's a comment or a question. Okay, both men really hiding behind that double high guard, throwing out single jabs. Cruz kind of posting there for a moment with his jab, and then tries to do a slip, left to the body, rolls underneath Salcido's jab quite nicely. Some sort of posting jabs from Cruz. Salcido staying very disciplined. Comes with a jab and then a right hook to the body. Cruz is really the one moving around more around on the outside, and Salcido's kind of trying to hold the center of the ring. Salcido with a right to the body doesn't really do anything. Right, 10-second warning. Nice double jab right hand from Cruz, but doesn't really land. All right, so if we're gonna score that, I would give that to Cruz just because he was the more active. But we still got 9 rounds to go, so in the UFC, did I bet? No. Greetings to you as well. Hi, Shug. Good to see you. Yeah, there's a lot of fights happening. Right now, I'm able to get a stream for Pacheco versus Nelson. What I did have a stream for BKFC, but I kind of lost it. Can't find a stream. And then there's also PFL happening. So if any of you guys can figure out how to get the BKFC, that one I'm just interested in because it's going to be Eddie Alvarez versus Jeremy Stevens in the main event, and it'd be kind of cool to see these former UFC guys in a bare knuckle setting. So it's really more curiosity factor than anything. All right, round 2 of Cruz versus Salcido. Again, we have Cruz opening up with some hard jabs. And he's the one on the outside, kind of moving around the perimeter of the ring. But Salcido's kind of starting to close in on him a little bit. Guys fall into a clinch. Ref separates them. Nice roll underneath. Nice roll by Cruz underneath Salcido's left hook. Salcido is starting to pick it up a little better this round, which is good. Kind of walking towards Cruz. But just in the second round, just from what I've seen, I would say Cruz is the more sophisticated fighter, but I don't know much about either one. Salcido, I'm guessing, might have, maybe he's a heavy hitter and he's just sort of waiting to set up a hard shot. But even his footwork does not, to me, look as sophisticated or technical as Cruz. Oh, Cruz came with a nice left to the body, left to the head, and right hand. Oh, then Cruz throws another lead right. Nice three-punch combination from Cruz. Cruz slips Salcido's jab and comes back. Salcido responds with a big overhand right that misses. Salcido's still kind of hunting Cruz down as he kind of takes small steps toward him while Cruz just navigates around the perimeter. Yeah, Salcido's still hunting Cruz. Goes for a jab right to the body. Not really effective. Really nice slip from Cruz off Salcido's jab. Yeah, 1 second, guys. Sorry, I lost that stream. All right, technical difficulties. Sugar's asking me, have I ever suffered an injury in a fight? Like broken hand? No, I haven't, fortunately. Did you through it and adjusted the fight? Yeah, I've never had an injury in a fight. I've been injured before going into a fight, and but I've not actually gotten like a break or something. I mean, I've been submitted, so that doesn't really count it as an injury, but my injuries have happened during practice. So there are times when it was like, okay, I'm injured, but this is the fight season. This is when the fight is, this is when the tournament's scheduled. They're not going to say, oh, D Hamaguchi's injured, we're going to postpone the whole thing. It's just like either carry on with the fight or pull out. So sometimes I have fought injured, but not like a break or something, Although actually it was a break. I did have a fracture, but I didn't think it was a fracture. So, I carried on training and competing. But in any case, yeah, I I can't say that I've ever had a broken hand like in boxing or something like that. Fortunately, knock on wood and all that. All right, so guys, sorry, a little stall here with the stream for boxing. We'll see if we can get this back. Are any of you guys watching BKFC? I know I keep asking you guys that. They did show the preliminaries for free on YouTube. Probably another platform as well, maybe their own website. But you know, I mean, that's a good sort of teaser to try to get you to buy the pay-per-view, right? But I'm not that much into BKFC that I will even pay for it. In fact, in general, I don't pay for any of this stuff. So, all right, let me see if we can get back to boxing. Okay, here we go. So we've got, yeah, Salcido still kind of walking Cruz down. Now they're at sort of much closer range. Both men are trying to work the body a little more. We have them throwing punches other than the jab, opening with, you know, maybe a hook to the body even. Still, Cruz does look like the more sophisticated fighter here. He's just got a little more technical savvy. Salcido moves him back, though, with some hard overhand right, left to the body, just forcing Salcido to move backwards towards the ropes. Salcido still keeping a nice high double guard. I mean, Cruz is still keeping a nice high double guard, while Salcido started to open up his guard a little bit, drop his hands more to kind of upper chest height. What I like from Cruz is how he responds. As soon as Salcido's done throwing his combination, Cruz comes right back with his punch. Okay, now we're cutting to B-roll of Diego Pacheco, I think, entering the venue with his family, holding his son's hand and his wife's hand. At least that's, yeah, yes, that's Diego Pacheco. And then we cut to some B-roll of Steven Nelson making his venue entrance. These guys are fighting out of Vegas tonight. Right, are you guys more boxing fans or MMA fans or both equally? Oh, to answer the question about do I bet? No, I don't bet. I'm just not much of a gambler. Not good at that stuff. I will break down a fight pre and post and tell you who I think is going to win and why, but I don't set any odds or anything like that. All right, so here we are, next round, Cruz versus Salcido. Cruz sets up a nice left hook to the body by slipping to the left and throwing that punch. Salcido's still trying to land a jab to the head, right hand to the body. What I really like here about Cruz is he's still really maintaining his disciplined high double guard. Nice little subtle parries from him. He's not over parrying and putting his own hand out of position, and he's countering to Salcido's body. Now it seems to be Cruz that's doing the hunting of Salcido, kind of pushing Salcido back a little bit. Sugar's asking me if I have a win in boxing that was most satisfying because people thought I would lose. Not so much. Um, I would say really, my fights with Stephanie were satisfying because I felt like neither one of us was necessarily the favorite, so to speak. Maybe except for the one where we fought in Oklahoma, where she's from. Um, but um, we both came in on even terms. It wasn't like one of us was the promoter's fighter, so the other person was being brought in as the B side and automatically going to lose. So I suppose that's why we have two draws out of three fights, right? But no, that win over Stephanie was certainly satisfying. But I think even some of my other draws were also satisfying. Um, to be honest, I mean, I got three losses versus Via Zaganis, but I would say a couple of those fights were pretty darn close. They could have been called a draw, and I know for sure my second fight with Zaganis. Um, let's put it this way: she was holding the ice pack to her forehead at dinner and at breakfast. I mean, dinner meaning post fight and at breakfast the next day. So I think my left hook landed more than a few times on her. So in any case, yeah, sometimes, losses have been satisfying, even though I lost. I mean, I fought my rear end off. We could have gotten a draw or a win, but that's just how the game goes. And uh, just knowing I fought really hard and did actually inflict some damage um, and perform to my corner's satisfaction, that in and of itself is satisfying. Okay, so now we're between rounds. If this fight's being scored fairly, I would say Cruz is ahead. He landed a really nice series of jab, right hand, left hook on Salcido last round. So I don't know if Salcido's going to be able to pull the rabbit out of the hat here in this fight. This will be interesting to see. Cheers, guys. I'm drinking my hot water again. All right, so we're back in action in the ring. We have Cruz still now going back to moving around a little more, kind of navigating the perimeter and shooting out his jab. Salcido tries to close in and throw a jab to the head, right hand to the body. The men fall into a clinch. Get another nice jab to the body from Salcido. Now, this round he seems to be keeping his double high guard up a little more as he works his way in, because the men are fighting at kind of closer distance. We still have Cruz being the one that's navigating the perimeter here and staying on the outside. Nice upper body movement from Salcido this round. He's kind of using that defensively, a little smarter. He does throw that right hand a little wide and then just stop without throwing a left hook after that. So he's kind of leaving himself a bit open. On the inside, some nice little uppercuts from Cruz. Also nice right uppercut from Salcido. Cruz really, though, is definitely the more sophisticated fighter here, because he'll throw his jab, he'll wait for the counter punch and slip, and then come back with his counter. So, and it's just so automatic for him that he's done this many times. So Salcido kind of showing me that he's not as sophisticated, because he just will weather the storm, and then he just opened up with two body shots, which typically you don't go straight to the body. You want to start with the jab, then throw the body shot after that. But in any case, and he keeps going to throwing a right hand without coming back with the left hook. Right there, Salcido opened with a left hook. Also, Salcido's footwork is not as good as Cruz's. Okay, hi. I'm not sure who just joined us. I guess You're from an Eastern European country, perhaps? Salcido still trying to hunt Cruz down. He threw a series of left hooks there to head, body, head. But I think Cruz is still comfortably ahead, provided the judges are doing their job properly. Well, now we got Cruz kind of showboating just a little bit, sort of, by dropping his hands momentarily. And that's the round. Okay, so we're in the corner of Salcido. Let's see if I can listen in here. Oh, I can't hear any of the corner conversation because they got the music up and they don't have a translator, so sorry about that, guys. I was just curious what Salcido's corner, Jose Benavidez Sr., was saying to him. Salcido, you know, got to give him credit. He's putting in some nice left hooks to the body, left uppercuts. Okay, hi to whoever joined us. It looks like you're typing something in Cyrillic, but I can't read it, so, but I welcome you to the live stream. We're watching boxing. All right, next round, and we again have Cruz kind of navigating the perimeter, using lots of lateral movement with his jab. Salcido's really trying to hunt him down now. Opens up with lefts to the body, comes back up top to the head. Nice slips by Salcido now. Coming back with the little right uppercuts. But Cruz is able to kind of match him in that type of, at that distance with his slip uppercut on the inside. Cruz is using his upper body movement to set up a punch to the body or to an uppercut to the head. Again, Cruz is maintaining that very disciplined double high guard as he moves around laterally or backwards. But he never puts himself on the ropes, which also shows you that he's got a very good awareness of where he is in the ring. And I really like how Cruz uses a variety of jabs in terms of, you know, whether they're power jabs or just probing jabs to set up his next punch. All right, I got a little bit of stall in my stream here. Oh, here we go. Okay. Again, sort of pawing jabs from Cruz. Again, Cruz with a pawing jab as Salcido tries to sort of walk him down, close in on him. So it's interesting to me that Salcido doesn't completely just cut off the ring on Cruz by creating an angle and then just trying to corner him on the ropes or in the corner. But again, that's like, I feel that Cruz has the more sophisticated, educated footwork. But that's a skill set that all fighters need, is to be able to cut off the ring. All right, again, we've got a bit of a stall in my stream here. But Cruz with that pawing jab. Who do you guys have for Morel versus Benavidez? Sure, who do you have? I'm going with Benavidez. Right, got a bit of a stall. Let's see if this, okay, here we go. All right, we still have Cruz navigating around the perimeter, circling. Very nice movement from him, using his sort of posting, pawing jab a little bit, then rolling underneath Salcido's punches. Salcido is being persistent in trying to walk Cruz down, but he's just not able to find an opening for a big shot. And Cruz is kind of tagging him with the jab as Salcido's making his way in. Salcido's best punches thus far have definitely been his body shots. Sugar's saying I'm very much up in the air regarding the Morel Benavides. Every time I think I've made a decision, I reconsider. That's great. Yeah, I'm going to have to kind of sit down and do a little more research myself on that one. Mostly because I need to do research on Morel. I've watched quite a bit of Benavides. In fact, I don't know if I've mentioned that I originally met David Benavides when he was a little kid back at Wildcard. He kind of tagged along with his older brother and his dad, Jose Jr. and Jose Sr. And his older brother was being touted as, this next great thing because he'd won, I think, nationals as a 16-year-old. He was supposed to be the next sort of big up-and-coming boxing prodigy. And at that moment, David was just literally this little fat kid. I mean, I'm not saying that to be mean, but he was literally kind of round as a 10-year-old, 9-year-old or 10-year-old. And he's quiet as a mouse. I mean, understandably so. And I felt badly for him because, he's a little kid. He's just there in the gym, and people are kind of just looking at him sideways. And I do remember once Jose said, his brother said, in reference to him, he was like, oh, yeah, he's got hands. He can fight. And people just kind of looked at him like, yeah, right, And I felt badly for David because he's right there, he can kind of sense what you're saying about him or implying about him. So I did try to just strike up a little bit of a conversation with him because there's no need to be mean to a little kid, right? So I just tried to ask him, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Did you have fun? Just sort of random things you could say to a little kid. And he kind of gave me some sort of soft-spoken answers about, I think, maybe going a great adventure or something. But yeah, then fast forward 5 years later, he's 15. He hit a growth spurt, and now he's sparring with professionals at Wildcard. So everybody's tune changed, right? And then, of course, as he became who he is now, I'm sure he knows very well what it means to be two-faced, because all those people that kind of looked at him sideways when he was a little kid are now trying to, whatever, jump on the bandwagon, whatever you want to call it. All right, so back to the fight. Again, same sort of themes here. We got, oh goodness, we have Cruz almost going in for a double leg takedown, but didn't follow through. Both men kind of falling into a clinch at this point. Ref separates them. Salcido trying to be persistent, did put together a nice jab, left uppercut, right hand. But I do feel that Cruz is far ahead on the scorecards. Salcido at this point does need a stoppage. But really, Salcido's footwork could use some work. Excuse me, he's a little bit flat-footed and doesn't really coordinate his feet with his punches. He does have a nice jab to a short little left uppercut right hand, though. Things getting a little more heated this round. Again, Cruz coming with that sort of probing jab. Interesting, Cruz momentarily switches to southpaw stance and throws a jab from southpaw stance. Now he's kind of, not quite showboating, but kind of peering, looking at Salcido. Throws a nice jab right hand. The only thing I would say at this point is Cruz just can't afford to get careless. I think the ref's warning him because Cruz kind of turned, rotated, kind of gave up his back, and Salcido punched. But now we have Salcido trying to, Cruz is moving laterally. Salcido's not able to cut off the ring on him. But he does roll under Cruz's punches and come back with a nice series of body shots. Again, Cruz kind of now dropping his lead hand a little bit, looking at Salcido. Still got a nice sharp jab, though, out of Cruz. Salcido chooses to open up with 2 body shots and then come up to the head. We've got about 10 seconds left in this round. Nice 3-4 punch combination from Cruz. Oh, and Cruz just steps in and tries to land a big overhand right. And that's the round. Yeah, the only thing I would be a little bit concerned about here is Cruz just sort of starting to play around a little bit. I mean, he switched to southpaw stance a couple times there. I don't know if that's really necessary. I mean, you don't need to take any risks in the final few rounds of a fight that you're ahead on. I mean, it's critical in this type of situation. Don't try to show off. Don't try to do something fancy or something new. Just listen to your corner and do what they say, because they can see the entirety of it. They can see everything. You're only looking at your opponent through your perspective. Yeah, Cruz is starting to drop his lead hand occasionally, but then he does revert back to a double high guard as Salcido fires back. Nice lead little left uppercut from Salcido. Nice feint jab from Cruz. Feint jab to the head, then jab to the body. Cruz tries a counter right hand. He slips Salcido's jab and tries to come right back. Cruz is trying to counter with that left uppercut. Cruz with a jab to the body, overhand right. Salcido rather slowly trying to walk Cruz down, but once Cruz gets a volley going, he's able to start pushing Salcido back. A little bit of inside work from both fighters. And then Cruz chooses to exit, stage left, and circle around. Salcido still making small steps forward towards Cruz without totally cutting the ring off. And yeah, Cruz is really starting to feel a little more like he can take some liberties in here, like drop his lead hand, switch to southpaw stance. Oh, now he's doing a little sort of Ali shuffle and stuff. I don't know. To me, that's not really called for. It's also not a smart move. Oh, did we just get a low blow here? Yeah, the ref. Oh, no. Behind the head or something. The ref is just issuing a verbal warning and makes both fighters touch gloves. I think that's what that was, a hit. Swap behind the head from Salcido to Cruz. Okay, here we go. All right, Salcido's at least starting to open up with that jab instead of just the body shot. A nice duck under by Salcido as he gets a jab to the body. But now we got Salcido kind of backing up with small steps. Cruz is pushing him back. Nice jabs from Cruz. Nice exchanges, very technical. And then that's the round, and then we cut to Shakur Stevenson in the audience. He's wearing a very fashionable royal blue hoodie. He's at the desk with Chris Mannix and somebody else. All right, so they're showing us that this Cruz is Andy Cruz, and he's ranked 7th in the 135-pound rankings, according to Chris Mannix, with Tank number 1, Vasily number 2, William Zepeda number 3, Shakur Stevenson number 4, Dennis Berenchik number 5, and I missed number 6. I didn't see that. Okay, so we're back to the ring. Andy Cruz is off his stool. The men are in the center of the ring. And here we go. This is the IBF International something something belt at 135. Okay, we're in the pseudo championship rounds. We're in round 9 of 10 rounds. And I really feel Andy Cruz just really needs to be cautious here, not to get too caught up in trying to show off or showboat for sure. Okay, so now it looks like he's maintaining a good double high guard. He's a little bit taunting Salcido, I think. He's got really nice lateral movement, nice footwork. I'm talking about Cruz. Okay, switches to southpaw stance for a little bit. And then back to righty. Salcido trying to walk him down and then just cut him off with a body shot, but to no avail. So now we're back in the center of the ring. The pace is not as fast. It seems to be Cruz kind of controlling that pace because he's sort of slowed his output. It looks like so has Salcido. Nice jab from Andy Cruz. Not sure if he's opening his mouth or sticking his tongue out at Salcido. Okay, very nice slips from Andy Cruz. Salcido's just falling into Cruz's tempos. You can tell by his footwork and just the rhythm of his output. But what he could do differently is he could just adopt a completely different tempo, and that would change things up a little bit rather than respond in turn to what Cruz is doing. Cruz is just sticking with the jab and then making a defensive move and a counter right hand. Very straightforward, basic stuff right now. Oh, and he threw a lead left hook, couple of lead left hooks. Cruz will either bob to his right or his left and try to throw a counter shot. But Salcido's just not being busy enough in this 9th round. He's taking small steps backwards, small steps forward, but just kind of waiting on Cruz and then trying to parry counter. That's really not the game to play with Cruz. Salcido just needs to let his hands go a little bit, especially in the 9th and 10th rounds here. I mean, he is down on all cards, so the thing is, make this a good showing of yourself, right? And that's the round. Okay, so we're about to head into the 10th and final round. So the interesting thing for Cruz is that he is from Cuba, so I'll assume he has that Cuban amateur pedigree, where they're very highly technical fighters, right? Like they just get drilled to death. You're not making it out of Cuba if you don't have good basics, or you're just not going to make a junior or a senior team without having outstanding basics and a lot of tenacity, just because you're going to have to put up with some pretty horrible conditions as an amateur boxer in Cuba. Okay, here we go with the 10th and final round of this fight between Andy Cruz and Salcido. men touch gloves. They're more or less in the center, with Salcido holding the center and Cruz kind of navigating the perimeter, kind of the theme. You know, he's got that great lateral movement, which allows him to navigate around the perimeter and not get caught. Oh, cameraman looks like he slipped there. Okay, now we have Cruz just switching to southpaw momentarily, then he switches back to righty. It's probably something that his trainer tries to rein in a little bit, because you don't want your fighter doing that unless they have to. Okay, now we have Cruz kind of opening up a bit, throwing lots of really hard 1-2s to the head and to the body, going back to a good double high guard or a cross chest guard, kind of waiting on Salcido to do something, and then he'll try to counter. But he is maintaining a good jab. Although he is, I wouldn't say showboating, but he's trying to just time Salcido and come back with a nice counter. Again, switching from righty to lefty stance. We have Cruz still moving around. Now he's in lefty, throwing a jab, then makes a few lateral steps. Okay, he's still in southpaw. And then he steps over laterally and is right back into right orthodox stance. So it's clearly something that he's very comfortable doing. Okay, we have just over a minute left in this 10-rounder between Andy Cruz and Salcido. Looks like Salcido lands a low blow on Cruz. The referee's giving him a moment. They come back, touch gloves, and resume the action. We got less than a minute to go in this minor belt. Salcido just not picking it up. He's just kind of walking around, but he's not throwing enough, not landing enough to justify giving him more than one round, if any, in this fight. Oh. Excuse me. Really sophisticated stuff from Andy Cruz. He opens up with a left uppercut, rolls underneath the counter punch, and comes back with his own counter punch. Now Cruz just pressing on Salcido into the corner. Salcido in trouble, trying to grab and hold. Ref separates them. Andy Cruz just opening up. Salcido is a little bit hurt at the end, but that's the round. That's the fight. Both men head back to their corners. Hug it up. Both fighters hug it up. And I don't think we'll be surprised to hear that Andy Cruz wins this 10-round decision. Well, I'm glad I watched this fight, because I really was not aware of Andy Cruz. I think he's very interesting. He's interesting. He's very technically sound. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in this division. The fact that he's secured this minor belt, I mean, he can then justify being given a title shot, right? All right. Do you guys ever watch BKFC, or are you all a fan of bare knuckle fighting? Okay, we're just looking at both fighters in their respective corners. And I don't think it's going to be any surprise. Yes, of course, we have Andy Cruz winning this fight. He won that fight. Cruz won that with a pretty wide margin. I mean, Salcido was just basically outclassed, I would say. But both fighters hug it up. And the belt is awarded to Andy Cruz. So does bare knuckle fighting, does that fall under the boxing category or the MMA category? What do you guys think? All right, let's see. Let's try one more time to see if I can find BKFC. But yeah, I'm very impressed with the technical work from Andy Cruz. So I'm glad I tuned into that fight. He's the type of fighter, at least when he's fighting orthodox, that you could point a student to and say, hey, yeah, do this the way he's doing this, because he's pretty much textbook in terms of how he uses defensive head movement and then comes back with his punches. As I said, the only thing I wasn't a huge fan of that he did was just the switching, only because I didn't feel it was necessary. I mean, I can understand if he felt, okay, I'm way far ahead on the scorecards, I want to have a little fun. All right, fair enough. That's true, but you don't want to take any crazy chances, even when you are that far ahead. If you're in there, like they say, one punch can change somebody's life. So the other guy doesn't have to be good. They just got to get lucky and land that one crazy punch, and that changes the whole outcome of a fight you were supposed to win. And you were winning until that moment. Okay, so next up in the boxing ring, we do have the main event, Diego Pacheco versus Steven Nelson. Again, two fighters that I really don't know anything about, so we'll see what we see. All right, now still trying to find that BKFC card. All right, let me see if I can get that going. All right, so we're between fights here, waiting for the main event. They're just showing us footage of the empty ring at the moment. And then they're cutting to some ads. Surprise. Oh, nice. An ad for Ozempic, which is what every boxing fan should have in their cabinet, right? I wonder who figured that out, that this audience would be in the market for Ozempic. Hope none of you guys are on Ozempic. Okay, now we are looking at an ad for, I don't know what. The Atlantic Canadian Bluebird. Interesting. Again, this is an ad. All right. So I wonder, am I watching a Canadian live stream? Okay, so still not really having any luck with this BKFC. Are you guys watching any fights tonight? What are you watching? Tell me. Are you watching PFL? Are you watching boxing? Are you watching bare-knuckle? Okay, we are still on the ads. Now an ad for Fidelity. Got to get that ad time in before the main event. Diego Pacheco versus Steven Nelson. Do any of you guys have a pick in this fight? Again, I have to honestly say I'm completely neutral because I don't know anything about either fighter. Tell me what you guys predict for this fight, Pacheco versus Nelson. Okay, we are still watching some ads here for now Captain Morgan. Where are you guys from? I can tell we have somebody here from Eastern Europe. We have Shug. Where's everybody else from? All right, still waiting for the fights in the ring. Diego Pacheco versus Steven Nelson. We're looking at some ads from the Zone telling us about up-and-coming fights. So what fights are you guys looking forward to? Of course, we have Benavidez. Benavidez Morel next weekend. Okay, it looks like I might have, oops. Interesting. BKFC bare-knuckle is 5 2-minute rounds. Very interesting format. We have success, guys. I was able to get BKFC stream, at least for the moment. We have 2 fellows in the ring. Again, I never watched BKFC, so honestly, I don't know anything about any of these fighters. My only interest is in watching Jeremy Stephens versus Eddie Alvarez in the main event. But that being said, all right, and as far as boxing goes, we're just cutting to some previous footage of some DAZN fights. I think that was Avanesian maybe versus Jaron Ennis. Yes, they're just filling up time before the main event here in the boxing ring. BKFC, there is a fight in the ring underway. I apologize, I don't know who these two fighters are. But for what it's worth, one guy's wearing the Roman gladiator type skirt thingy, and the other fellow's wearing looks like more like sort of MMA type shorts, kind of like board shorts ish. And the guy in board shorts is just kind of circling around that circle, and the guy in the gladiator shorts looks to be kind of a little more sophisticated as a striker. He's doing a lot of evasive defensive movements, but I mean, bare knuckle fighting is not about defense, it's about offense, right? So let's see how this evolves. Oops. So now we're cutting to the main event fighters, Diego Pacheco and Steve Nelson, getting their hands wrapped. I hope this is not in live time because I don't feel like waiting around that long to watch their fight. So I assume this is shot previously. Now we're cutting to stand up between Eddie Hearn and Chris Mannix in his horrible attire. Somebody want to volunteer to be Chris Mannix's stylist, please? Have mercy on us so we don't have to look at him wearing these horrible outfits. Okay. So in the BKFC circle, looks like somebody got dropped. And is that the end of the round? Oh, yeah, that's it. That's the end of the fight. They stopped it. Sorry, buddy, I don't know who you are, but he's in the blue corner, the guy with the gladiator skirt thingy won. Okay, we're still going to previous footage in the boxing ring. Not sure who we're looking at here. Oh, I guess previous footage of Pacheco. All right, and then now we're going to cut to some previous footage of Steven Nelson. Interesting that BKFC is also being broadcast on DAZN tonight. I guess Steven Nelson's out of Detroit, seeing as he's one of his fights, they show him in a Detroit Red Wings hockey jersey. Again, we're still doing previous footage of both fighters. Diego Pacheco, Steven Nelson. Okay, in BKFC, we have the two fighters hugging it out. The guy who won looks familiar, but I just can't, I don't know, sorry. Okay, now in the boxing side, we are cutting to drone footage of Las Vegas, and now I think we're about to get the ring walk. These fights are being held at the Cosmopolitan. If that's of any interest. Back to the two stand-up guys, Chris Mannix and Todd Grisham. Hopefully the action gets underway soon. In the BKFC circle, we have a post-fight interview with the gladiator shorts guy who just KO'd or TKO'd his opponent. Boxing, we're still going to previous footage from Diego Pacheco. Again, it's repetitious because it's the same footage they showed us about 60 seconds ago or something. So, yeah, it's footage of Pacheco landing a body shot on a guy and then the guy just crumpling to the ground. So, yeah, very dramatic. Might as well milk the footage for all you can. Thank you, DAZN. Okay, back to stand up with those two guys who wear suit jackets without a dress shirt and tie and sneakers. My pet peeve. Guys, if you're gonna go casual, just freaking go casual. Wear some slacks, sneakers, and a nice t-shirt or golf shirt, whatever. But don't go this mix and match crap with the sneakers and the suit jacket. All right, I guess we're just killing time on the zone because we're now still showing previous footage of the two main event fighters, Steven Nelson and Diego Pacheco. Excuse me. Looks like maybe that's Steven Nelson fighting at the what was formerly known as the StubHub. I don't know. Oh, now we're going to cut to footage of their weigh-in or whatever when they got in each other's face. Clearly, Diego Pacheco has the height advantage in this case. Steven Nelson is more sort of stockier build, kind of talking at each other. Diego goes to do the double bicep pose, and Nelson sort of shoves his underarm. It was nothing, you know. Of course, they had to make a headline out of it, but it was really not that big a deal. It wasn't that big of a shove. Okay, now we're cutting to both fighters back in the change room, sort of shadow boxing for the camera. We got Terrence Crawford in Steven Nelson's change room. Nelson's 36, Pacheco's 23. Pacheco is 6 feet 4 inches. Holy cow! Versus Nelson, who's 5'10". They're both they both made weight, 168, and Pacheco has the reach advantage as well as the height advantage. Not shocking, right? All right, so here we go. We have the Terminator dude announcing the fighters. Honestly, no diss to him, but I wish he'd just lose the Terminator dreads. Anyways. Okay, so the lights go down, and now they're showing the audience, I guess, more footage. Oh, God. So I'm just waiting for them to get the fighters in the ring at this point. Okay, here we go. Looks like they're ready to have Steven Nelson do his walk down the ramp. I won't call it a ring walk anymore. I'll call it a ramp walk. Here he comes down the ramp. Steven Nelson is dressed in red. Not sure what the theme of his outfit is here. He's got kind of an interesting, like, hat on. That's supposed to be like the captain of a ship or something. Not sure. And it looks like a cape. So, yeah, I don't quite get it. All right. Oh my goodness. On the bare-knuckle side, who invited Mario Lopez to comment? All right. At least he looks a little better. He's wearing a dress shirt under his suit jacket. He's wearing a belt in his slacks. Well, you would expect Mario Lopez to know how to dress at least, right? As far as bare knuckle goes, I don't know about that, but all right. Now we're still going back to more old footage of Diego Pacheco. Just can't get enough of that old footage, right? Production side has to figure this out a little better, because if you want to show this to the live audience, then show it to the stream audience simultaneously. Don't make us keep watching the same intro footage on a fighter over and over again. All right, BKFC, still Mario Lopez standing up with some other person, some other gentleman. Maybe that guy's the owner of BKFC, I'm not sure. Okay, but we are getting ready for Diego Pacheco to walk down the ramp with, who does he have? Some chubby dude rapping for him. Sorry guys, I'm not going to unmute this one. I'm not that interested in what this song is. Anybody who's watching this might know who this vocalist is. Male vocalist, a little chubby, walking Diego Pacheco down the ramp to the ring. Kind of anticlimactic type of ring walk, but you know, I'm not the promoter here, so alright, so Pacheco's gonna circumnavigate the ring to acknowledge everybody. We got Terrence Crawford in the ring, we got Eddie Hearn in the ring, we got the Terminator standing in the center of the ring. And let's hope this fight starts shortly. On the BKFC side, we still got Mario Lopez talking to some other guy. Again, I shouldn't call him some other guy. He might be the owner of BKFC. But no diss to Mario Lopez. I have 0 to 0 interest in what he has to say about fighting. All right, now in the boxing ring, Terminator is making the announcements. All right, we're cutting to Diego Pacheco standing in his corner with his corner holding up 2 belts behind him. Now we're cutting to Steve Nelson in his corner. Of course, he's got Bomac, and I can't remember the name of the other trainer, but all right. So Sugar's told us he's still up in the air about Benavidez Morel. I'm gonna go with Benavidez. Where are you guys? Who are you guys going with for next week? You got David Benavidez or David Morel? Okay, BKFC. We're cutting to some previous footage of looks like super heavyweights. Two very unsophisticated super heavyweights just wailing on each other. I'm worried I'm going to see a plumber's crack over there, but whatever. Okay, now in the boxing ring, we have the referee being introduced. Back to the Terminator yelling stuff. All right, BKFC, we have somebody making their, do I call it a ring? Is it still a ring even though it's a circle? Making his ring walk. At least his ramp is a little longer, so there's a little more time to drag that out. He's wearing a sort of a hockey mask type thing and a robe. Okay, cutting back to the boxing ring. Now we're announcing Steven Nelson. This is taking forever. I guess his ring name is So Cold, Steven So Cold Nelson. And now we have Bomac about to take Steven Nelson's t-shirt off. I think. Okay, in bare-knuckle, we have one of the fighters getting grease applied by the cut man. Seems like BKFC has adopted the same sort of cut man policy that UFC has, where you have to use their cut man, and they're the ones that get to put the grease on you. It's not like boxing where you get your own cut man, and your personal cut man puts everything or whatever it is on you, right? Hi from Russia. Awesome. So glad to have you here. Please do think about subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification button. Also, you guys definitely, I'm on Instagram too under the same username, Hamaguchi Fight, but definitely more of my content now is on YouTube. I'm a little sort of disgruntled with Meta, Instagram/Facebook. simply because they are allowed to scrape IG and Facebook if you produce any type of art, like 2D art, music, whatever, they're allowed to scrape it. Okay, so we are cutting back to the boxing ring. Both fighters are in the center of the ring, getting the final instructions from the referee. Interesting. This will be interesting just because, well, not just because, but partly because of the height difference between Diego Pacheco, who's like 6'4", which I didn't realize, and Steven Nelson, who's I think 5'10". Okay, this boxing fight's about to get started. In BKFC, we now have the second fighter at ringside or round side, getting grease applied. Okay, so boxing has started. Both men fighting out of orthodox. Both Pacheco and Nelson starting off, of course, with jabs. Nelson's trying his double jab right hand. Pacheco's on the outside. Nelson seems to be taking the fight to Pacheco, a little more active. Nelson has a decent double guard. It's not super high. It's about shoulder height, but he is opening up with jabs. He threw a lead right hand there. I think he's just all probing punches from Steven Nelson at this point. Pacheco with a hard jab. And Pacheco using his lateral movement to move around the perimeter of the ring. Now we have Nelson kind of moving around out laterally. Nice slip by Nelson. Nelson lands a jab, but Pacheco just rolls it off, slides away. Double jab from Pacheco. Doesn't really land because Nelson also moves away. We have just over a minute left in this first round. Oh, nice jab to the body by Nelson. Single jab response from Diego Pacheco. One-two attempt by Nelson. Double jab from Pacheco. Jab to the body from Pacheco. I'm watching in my glasses. Yeah. Well, sorry, I need the glasses. What's up? Hi, Charles. How you doing? I'm watching Diego Pacheco versus Steve Nelson. We're in round one. And also trying to watch BKFC a bit here. I don't know these two. I think they're super heavyweight fighters in BKFC. They're both bearded. They both look like they're throwing really wide haymakers. So I'm gonna focus my attention on the boxing. And it looks like one fighter is almost about to get taken out here because he's against the ropes. I'm talking about BKFC, and the other fighter's just wailing on him. All right, that was the end of the round for round one between Diego Pacheco and Steve Nelson. Tough round to call just because there wasn't a lot of action in there. Definitely a feel-out round for both fighters. Looks like we might have gotten a stoppage over there at BKFC between these two super heavies. Yes, it does look like it. So looks like Jose Benavides Sr. is working Diego Pacheco's corner. Oh boy, we have Sean Porter on the desk for the zone. At least he's better than Tim Bradley. I got that much to say. Okay, round two. We have, it looks like Nelson's trying to pick up the pace a bit. Now, if he's going to fight at this pace, I assume he's got outstanding conditioning. Steven definitely has sort of the tougher role to play here, giving away that type of height to Pacheco. He's got to just stay constantly busy, constantly feint, and bring the fight to Pacheco. He's making a lot of movements with his hands, taking small steps. Pacheco's just sort of moving. Pacheco can afford to just walk slowly and pick his shots, literally. He's got kind of a wide stance, but he can get away with that simply because he's so much taller. All right, Pacheco with a jab and a right hand. I mean, this is a difficult puzzle for Nelson to solve. And what he's doing is just trying to stay really busy with his upper body movement so he doesn't give Pacheco a stationary target, which is the right game to play, I think. So we have Nelson trying to parry Pacheco's jab. Nelson's constantly using sort of upper body movement and little small hand movements to try to disguise what he's about to do. And Pacheco can just afford to be patient and walk towards him. So now Pacheco just tried a nice 1-2. Pacheco kind of adopts that shell defense and kind of slides backwards to avoid Nelson's punches. Oh, nice. Nelson has just managed to get to the body. A couple shots on Pacheco, which is what he needs to do. In a sense, Steven Nelson needs to fight like how Sean Porter would fight. Just a lot of pressure, and then just wail on the body. Pacheco lands a nice jab. See, Pacheco is throwing single jabs, but since he's got that height and reach, he can afford to do that. Nice jab to the body attempt by Steve Nelson. Then he just closes in, tries to put a couple of punches together, and that's the round. So he nods his head to his corner as he heads back, talking about Nelson. So I think he was satisfied for himself with how that round went. We got Bomac outside the ring, speaking to his fighter who's on the stool. Got the cutman and I guess the second assist, kind of applying the grease to Steven Nelson's face. What event is this? Watching boxing between Diego Pacheco and Steven Nelson. UFC is next week, and we're watching BKFC, which is, I think, streaming on the UFC Fight Pass. I'm not sure. But the main event for BKFC, and the only reason I'm tuning in is because the main event is Jeremy Stephens versus Eddie Alvarez, both former UFC fighters. So, yeah, stick around. I'm not sure. Are you a MMA fan or a boxing fan or both? Okay, so here we go. We are in round 3 of a 12-round fight between Diego Pacheco and the shorter Steven Nelson. Okay, Nelson really great conditioning. He's picking up the pace here even in round 3. Coming in with a jab, level changing. Again, Pacheco can just afford to keep taking these sort of, I don't call them lumbering steps, but he doesn't need to be light on his feet. He can just take a step and throw his jab. He's got so much height and reach advantage. He can get away with that. So Pacheco's just making small, steady steps, whereas Nelson has to kind of bounce around a little bit and try to be deceptive in terms of his angle. Oh, okay, so little lull in the action there, and then Steven Nelson is right back at it, pumping his jab out there, level changing, dipping to one side and then the other, then moving laterally. Pacheco kind of sort of reminds me a little bit of Fundora, though he's not um, as extremely tall, right? But he can avoid punches just by turning a little bit, just because he's got that much of a height advantage on Steven Nelson, and probably on other people at this weight division. Okay, my double jab from Diego Pacheco, but Diego has to start putting punches together. Can't afford to give away all these rounds, in my opinion. And I also feel that Pacheco is his stance is a little bit wide. That just makes you slower, even though maybe he doesn't need to. He can sacrifice giving away some of his height, but when you have that wide of a stance, you're a little bit immobile. So I could see right away how Diego likes to avoid a punch is simply to roll back and then turn, which again, somebody who's that tall can get away with that. But I hope he has a few other wrinkles in his defense bag. Is it Fred saying, I was here last week, you don't remember me? I mean, sorry, it's really hard for me to see people's names, but Fred, I hope you subscribed and hit the notification button. Is that how you figured out we were doing a live? Okay, here we have Nelson picking up the pace. Pacheco is still navigating the perimeter of the ring, and that's the round. I would have to give these rounds to Steve Nelson, so at some point or soon, Pacheco's going to have to pick it up a little bit because doesn't want to give away, the first 6 rounds of a fight. And he doesn't need to make it that hard for himself. He just needs to double up on his jab and then drop his straight right behind it. Let's hope he has a decent straight right. Fred says, I don't get why Alvarez wants to fight the who? From ONE FC? Oh, you mean Eddie Alvarez. My fault. He earned millions from ONE FC. Oh, got it. I mean, who knows? It's just because he's a fighter and he just wants to. I mean, maybe he figures this is low risk, high reward. I don't know. To me, bare knuckle is not low risk, no matter who you're fighting. But maybe he's just actually friends with Jeremy Stevens and wants to let Stevens make some money off of this. Who knows? I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea how much money he made off ONE FC, but thanks for bringing that to our attention. Okay, so we're back in the boxing ring with Steven Nelson and Diego Pacheco. At this point, I would say Nelson is winning simply on output. Not seeing enough from Diego to give him these rounds. So now we got Pacheco kind of bending over a little bit to come down to Nelson's height. Not sure why he's doing that. Maybe just so he can target Nelson's head better. But in my opinion, that's a bit of a mistake for the taller guy to try to lower themselves so their arms are on level with their opponent's head. But in any case, we now have Pacheco kind of pressing forward a little bit more, a little bit more assertiveness from him as he moves Nelson back. Okay, and in the bare knuckle circle, we have a female fight about to start. I'm probably not going to pay too much attention to that. All right, so we have Steven Nelson really pressing on Pacheco. Pacheco's trying to just use his lateral movement to not get stuck in the corner. Sorry, a little lag in the stream here. Okay, and again, lots of upper body movement from Steven Nelson, which he's been doing consistently throughout this fight, so credit to him for that. But Pacheco is starting to pick the pace up a little bit more than he was during the first 3 rounds. So I hope he's able to maintain that. Okay, Pacheco stepping forward. Now we got Nelson moving around on the perimeter. And Pacheco trying to close in on him. But he's just using kind of a probing jab, not a snapping jab, not a power jab. And then he's kind of rolling back when Nelson comes in with his right hand. Now, if he's not paying attention, he could set himself up for a leaping left hook from Nelson. Okay, and that's the round. Nelson is starting to show there's a little bit of blood on the left side of his face. Or I think it looks like he has a small cut right. He has a cut in the left eyebrow. That's why the blood was there. Okay, well, it does not look super deep, but hopefully he has an effective cut man who can close that. That was clearly from a punch, though, or 2 punches. Diego did catch him with a nice hard right hand as Nelson was coming in. So now if Diego can continue to time those counter right hands, I mean, this should be straightforward for him. But, I mean, easier said than done, right? Charles, I agree. When the head's down, he gives Nelson back a couple of inches reach. Exactly. Okay, but we got Pacheco acting as the hunter, kind of walking Nelson down, or trying to, and it looks like Nelson's kind of trying to move around a little bit more. But Pacheco just landed a nice jab on Nelson that kind of knocked Nelson's head back a bit. And unfortunately for Nelson, just because he has that little cut on the eyebrow, it doesn't make for good optics, even though Pacheco may not be doing much more damage to him. It just looks like he is because there's blood on Steven's face. Okay, but to his credit, Steven is still using a lot of jittery motion with his upper body. He's persistent coming in with the jab first. But I think he's got to pick it up a little bit more to the body to really target the body if he wants to slow Pacheco down. Because now Pacheco's starting to walk him down, and Nelson's trying to escape along the ropes by moving laterally. Okay, now Pacheco's starting to throw a couple jabs in series, like feinting his jab first and then throwing it. With that height advantage, he can really get away with quite a lot. Now, I think what he's trying to do is just line up a nice straight right, because he's been throwing a couple 1-2s pretty hard and not coming back with a left hook. So I think Diego's counting on his counter right hand to get Nelson out of here. But now we have Nelson throwing a double jab slip counter right hand. So I don't know. If I were Nelson, I would be focused more on Pacheco's body just to try to neutralize him a little bit. But yeah, we have Nelson now starting to fight off his back foot and use his lateral movement to try to avoid Pacheco, who's now stepping to him with his jab. Although he is giving away the height, as Charles pointed out. We'll see how this. Okay, lots of sort of probing jabs from Pacheco. Then he comes back the straight right and a right uppercut. So yeah, I think he's just trying to set up a hard right hand. whether it's a straight right or a right uppercut. All right, that was definitely Pacheco's round. Okay, I think Steve Nelson needs to really use a lot of motion in his waist, use angles to try to get to Pacheco's body. Um, we still have quite a few rounds ahead of us, so he needs to slow Pacheco down. Pacheco's starting to find a home for that right hand off his jab, either straight right hand or right uppercut. So Nelson's going to have to be really aware of that. He's got to slip to his left side and try to come back with a left body shot, I would say. And he's also going to have to be super persistent in getting on the inside of Pacheco. All right, here we go with the next round in the boxing ring. And yeah, right away we have Nelson still doing a lot of jittery upper body movement, using his feet well to go in and out. Nice head movement from Nelson to avoid Pacheco's punches. He comes forward with a jab to the body, right hand, another jab, right hand. Very sharp series of jabs from Pacheco. Again, he is giving away his height to come down to the level of Steve Nelson's head, but at least he's landing those punches. So as Nelson advances, Pacheco just keeps his jab hand out as a post and circles away. But Nelson is being persistent. He's trying to slip and come inside, but I feel like if he would target the body, that would be a good strategy for him. Nice defensive moves by Steve Nelson. The thing is, as he's making those slips with his upper, or making Pacheco miss because he's moving his upper body, I feel like Nelson also has to use his feet to step in and change the angle. Okay, right now Nelson's just trying to stay on the outside and move lateral or slip punches when Pacheco advances. Now, then Nelson feels it's his turn to advance. He starts moving towards Pacheco, who just goes backwards and then leans and slides out to the side. But in order to get Pacheco to be a little more stationary, Nelson does have to wail on his body. Yeah, right now Nelson's not able to successfully land as much because Pacheco's doing that sort of roll to his right and then step out to the side every time Steve Nelson advances. Pawing jabs from Pacheco. Oh, he feints a right hand, or shows it. Nice overhand right from Nelson. Nice lead left hook from Nelson. Nice roll under by Nelson. Good defensive motion from Steven Nelson, but he does need to come back with a punch. Okay, that's the round. Well, I think we give these last couple of rounds to Pacheco just because he landed the more effective punches. Charles says, again, I agree, body shots can get an opponent's head even lower. Yeah, you want to, I mean, that's just sort of the classic thing for this shorter fighter to do, right? You want to wail on the tall person's body just to get him more stationary, kind of take away that height and reach advantage, in the sense that if you can make him more stationary, then their height and reach is less relevant, right? But yeah, Pacheco's really starting to find a home for his jab and then right hand, whether it's a right uppercut or a straight right. So I really think, that could be the sequence that stops Steven Nelson. I'm not sure if Nelson has the the skill set to get on the inside and get to the body. As I said, I really haven't watched either fighter before, so I don't know. I'm not saying he doesn't have that skill set, I just don't even know. All right, so Nelson starting out with nice high double guard. We are in round 7, so in the second half of this 12-round fight. Okay, we have Steven Nelson advancing, falling into a clinch. Ref breaks it up. Again, lots of side-to-side movement with his upper body from Steven Nelson. He just misses with a big overhand right. Both fighters at a slightly closer distance this round, 7th round. We're in the second half of the fight. Nice straight jab from Diego Pacheco. Single jab, he can get away with that. Pawing jab, he can also get away with that. Oh, we have a nice double jab right hand from Pacheco. Then we have a right hand, left hook, right uppercut. Wow, okay. Pacheco's really starting to put them together now. Oh, there's the right uppercut, left hook, and then fade away from Pacheco. Nelson comes with a lead right hand. I feel like if Nelson would, off that weave under, if he'd throw a body shot, that would be the ideal time. He's got to use his feet just to get himself in position for that, whether it's a switch step or just an angle. Because he's moving Pacheco back, but then Pacheco can just lean back to avoid his headshots, right? Okay, again, Nelson comes in with the big overhand right. Doesn't really land. They fall into a clinch. Ref breaks him up. Okay, less than a minute to go in the 7th round. Again, the men fall into a clinch. Pacheco opens nicely with a lead left uppercut. Oh, big overhand right from Nelson, misses. He is able to close the distance. So I feel like Nelson should not ever be on the outside as he is right now. He should just be persistent and try to work his way on the inside. He should not take a step backwards. Okay, nice. He did roll under and come with a body shot there. That's Nelson. Oh, good slip right hand by Nelson. But Pacheco comes back with a couple of nice hard jabs, and that's the round. Okay, so the momentum is shifted to Diego Pacheco's favor, kind of showing us why he is in fact the champ. Not sure what's going on with BKFC with this women's fight. I can't tell if somebody got stopped or we're between rounds because they don't have very good camera work here, so can't see the fighter. You can see the BKFC cut man. Their production staff needs to figure it out. All right, I'm going to step away to try to get something to drink. All right, cheers. Do you guys like these Waterloo waters? Probably one of my favorite drinks. Okay, so we are in the 8th round of Diego Pacheco versus Steven Nelson. And I would say for sure Diego is starting to take this fight over. He's very effective with his double jab right hand, whether it's a right, straight right or a right uppercut. Okay. So again, now we have Pacheco kind of advancing on Nelson. Nelson looks like he's starting to move backwards now, which is not where he wants to be. Nelson needs to be going forward. So now he's starting to advance a little bit. But it looks to me like he's trying to just play the defensive counter game, but I think Nelson needs to just bite down his mouthpiece. It's easier said than done, and just work his way in there. Okay, nice high double guard by Nelson, but again, not good optics because he does have that little cut on his left eyebrow, and of course that opens up from the lightest of punches, so now he's got blood on the left side of his face. Okay, Pacheco's just starting to walk towards Steven Nelson and open up with his double jab right hand. Now, Pacheco's can afford to carry his lead hand low as he is, or his, not always, but he can afford to keep a sort of lower guard. Right, Nelson is trying to work his way in there with the jab, but then he takes a step back to mid-range, which probably not the best idea now. Now Nelson's trying to move around laterally. Again, not where he should be, in my opinion. Nice weave underneath Diego's hook by Nelson. But again, he's on the outside, and Pacheco's being the one that's advancing. Good parry by Nelson. Oh, and that's the round. Again, have to give that round to Diego Pacheco. Oh my goodness, did I see Conor McGregor in the BKFC circle, or was that just my imagination? Not sure. Okay. Replay of the action. Yes, Diego Pacheco's most definitely landing his double jab right hand. So, yeah, not really liking the body language I see from Steven Nelson on his stool. He's kind of head down type thing, which is not a look you want to see from your fighter. All right. We're about to get into, I think, the 9th round of this 12-round fight. Diego Pacheco defending his belts versus Steven Nelson. Okay, and Nelson is trying to advance, double jab right to the body. Okay, the female BKFC fight looks like it ended in a draw because the refs raising both women's hands. Oh no, my fault. He was just doing that as a gesture. Anyways. Okay, back to the boxing. Nice upper body movement from Steven Nelson. Nice parry from Steven Nelson, but what he needs to do is get inside. And his torso is a little bit too upright to be in position to sort of weave under and come to the body. Charles Riley says, McGregor in your imagination, I would call that a nightmare. That's funny. Okay, but to his credit, I mean, nice output from Nelson this round. He is stepping in with a double jab right hand to the body. Again, Pacheco can get away with throwing far less volume and just single jabs. Okay, Pacheco really does like that roll fadeaway type defense. Okay, now we got Pacheco moving around laterally, so Nelson's starting to put the pressure on him. He does attempt a couple body shots there. Nice roll under by Nelson. Okay, nice roll and then left body shot. That's what I was hoping to see more of from him. Sometimes you have to do those defensive movements, regardless of what your opponent's doing. Just make a couple of offensive movements and then go straight to your defense with that body shot. I mean, go straight to a weave with your body shot. All right, now I like the pressure I'm seeing from Steven Nelson. He's got Pacheco kind of moving against the ropes, but now he's letting up a little bit, and Pacheco's coming forward again with his nice long jab. I mean, that's so much work to close that distance on a much taller fighter. Oh, but Nelson does a nice job with his double jab right hand. Again, I feel like Nelson is just a little bit too upright to get to Pacheco's body effectively. He doesn't want to try to exchange jabs with him at this point. Oh, and that's the round. Better round for Nelson, but I'm not sure if the judges will give it to him. And it's unfortunate that for Nelson that small cut opened up simply because it's bad optics to have blood on the left side of your face for the whole fight. Because even if another hard punch doesn't land, a soft punch will open up that cut and have the blood flowing. Now, to Diego's credit, he did land two effective punches. I think it was a right hand and left hook. That's what caused the cut in the first place. So it's not like he didn't earn that, but. Okay, excuse me once more. I got to turn the heat off because it's starting to get a little bit hot. Okay, we are back in the ring. We are in the 10th of 12 rounds. Diego Pacheco is defending his belts versus Steven Nelson Bomac. Oh, looks like there was a disconnect there for a second. Sorry about that, guys. So we are in the 10th round of 12 of Diego Pacheco defending his belts versus Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson is trained by Bomac. He has, who has Terrence Crawford. Okay, so now we have, again, same themes here. Pacheco kind of leaning forward a little bit, landing a jab, and then leaning back to roll away when Steven Nelson advances. Oh, Pacheco really starting to open up with some wide punches. Not necessarily the most technical punches, but wide nevertheless. And then he does his roll and starts jogging away from Nelson. So I guess he's kind of starting to feel himself a little bit here, Diego Pacheco. I'm sure he figures he's that much ahead on the scorecards, but he can't afford to get careless here because Nelson is game and he's still coming forward. Okay, nice double high guard by Nelson. He does need to keep using a lot of breaking at the waist. Hard 1-2 attempt by Nelson. But he's backing up a little bit. Pacheco's got him backing up, and I don't really want to see that from Nelson at this point. Nelson has a couple rounds to make something happen for himself in this fight. He needs to close out big. Okay, the ref walks. Nelson back to the corner. I guess that's the end of that round. But Nelson did land some good shots that round. Even if a right hand doesn't land flush from Pacheco, even a glancing right hand is going to get tons of blood coming out of that cut. I'm not sure if that's what the referee is concerned about at this point. And if that's why he walked Steven Nelson back to his corner. In any case, here we go. We are in the 11th round. We are in the championship rounds of this 12-rounder. Steven Nelson has 2 rounds to make something happen for himself here if he wishes to dethrone Diego Pacheco. Nice little bob and weaves underneath Pacheco's jab, and he comes back with a nice body shot. Diego clinches. Okay, so now back to the drawing board for Nelson. He's got to start that advance forward, which he is taking steps forward now. Nice jab to the body by Nelson. But again, Pacheco just rolls away. Nice overhand right by Nelson. Main thing is Pacheco can't afford to get careless these last 2 rounds. And with Nelson advancing, they're sort of falling into a clinch a little bit. So I don't know that Pacheco can fight on the inside at all. Pacheco is playing the right game now. He's just pecking away with a probing jab, a posting jab to keep Nelson off him. Just switches to a jab to the body. Not sure why he's doing that, but okay. Nice left uppercut by Nelson. Another jab to the body by Pacheco. Not sure that that's a wise move, but okay, and Pacheco misses with the left hook, comes back with a nice straight right. But every time Steven Nelson closes distance and gets in, Pacheco's just going to grab, which is what he's doing right now. Nelson's just going to have to be persistent. Which is what he's doing. Give him credit, because he's the one advancing here. He's the one making this 11th round happen. Oh, nice right uppercut by Diego Pacheco off the jab. Nelson's still advancing, trying to walk Diego Pacheco down. Tries to walk in with the lead right hand. Falls into a clinch again. They work their way out, and now Nelson has to close distance once again. Comes with a jab. Hook. Right hook. Roll under. Oh, nice left hook right hand by Steven Nelson. I don't see the clock for how much time's left, but I would say that Steven Nelson is winning this 11th round. Okay, so now both men are back on their stools. Steven Nelson still needs a huge 12th round if he wants to even get a draw, I would say. Even if he wins this 12th round, I still think they're gonna give this to Pacheco. But so he needs a spectacular 12th and final round. Okay, so we see Um, both men rise off their stools for the 12th and final round of this uh, fight between Diego Pacheco and Steve Nelson. Pacheco is defending 2 belts. All right, so right off the bat, Nelson advances and then fall into a clinch. Okay, Pacheco's doing the right thing and keeping a nice pecking jab out there. Nelson advances. Again, they fall into a clinch. So Nelson's got to figure something out here because he's got to make something happen big this round. I like how he's using his jab to get in. He did a nice rolling motion to try to close distance. Referee's warning him about something, but Pacheco's going to just clinch when Nelson gets in close. Oh, to his credit, Nelson got off quite a few punches there on the inside. Didn't allow, oh, nice lead left hook by Nelson. This is an interesting 12th round here. We've got just under 2 minutes to go. And Nelson is still a live dog. He can still do some damage here to Pacheco. Okay, at this point, yeah, Nelson's just letting it all hang loose. He's just walking in and throwing. Jab, right hand. Diego Pacheco tries to come back with his counter right hand. But to his credit, Nelson's just being persistent. I wish he started doing this a little bit earlier, a few rounds prior, because I feel that may have paid more dividends for him in this round, right? If he was able to get to the body as he is right now and just make it a little bit of an ugly fight. The men keep falling into a clinch, of course, because, again, I don't think Pacheco knows how to fight on the inside. So he's still doing that sort of fadeaway roll. Lean back. That's something he's going to need to address in the gym because he's just wide open for a big leaping left hook when he does that. So if somebody could predict that and time it, then, he's leaving himself open. All right. Nice defensive move there by Pacheco, though. Nice 1-2 attempt, but Nelson comes right back. So I'd say Nelson's winning these last 2 rounds. Men fall into a clinch. They got 10 seconds left. So unfortunately for Steven Nelson, there's just not enough time for him to really get done what he needs to get done here. And that's it. So smiling Diego Pacheco heads back to his corner. The doctor is applying gauze to Steven Nelson. I don't know that it warrants a doctor's attention. Should just let his corner take care of it. That's Las Vegas. That's Nevada State Athletic Commission. Jose Benavidez Sr. is addressing Diego Pacheco in the corner. His cornermen are taking a look at his, I don't know that he has any cuts, but they're taking a look at him. I think we can say pretty clear that Diego Pacheco will win this one on points. Good effort by Steven Nelson. Just a few little things. I mean, I'm sure that's very difficult to fight a guy that's got that much height on you, but he needs to channel Joe Louis or Jake LaMotta and just turn himself into that sort of perpetual motion machine of, just weaving even when you don't know if the person's throwing a punch or not, but you're just weaving to get inside and throw your own body shots. It's very, very, very draining. But you cannot fight with an upright torso. As the cliche goes, the shorter guy's got to get even shorter. That's the only way to get on the inside. So you had to kind of channel a crab or something to get on the inside. All right, so I guess we're just waiting for the official announcement here, but I would say it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Diego Pacheco successfully defended his 2 belts versus Steven Nelson. Okay, in the BKFC circle, I'm not sure what's up next. We're between fights here. Oh, this is an interesting one. It's Rothwell versus somebody else. But that's kind of another point of interest, right? Anytime there's a former UFC fighter who's willing to do bare knuckle, it's kind of a curiosity factor. Are you guys more boxing fans or more MMA? Or are any of you BKFC? I'm really not into BKFC. I'm also not into Power Slap. Are any of you guys into Power Slap? All right, Charles, it was so nice to have you here on our live, so thank you so much. And thanks for always dropping insightful comments on our live streams and on and on the videos. I really appreciate your presence and your input. So see you soon. Okay, so we're waiting for this official announcement about Pacheco versus Nelson. So I assume, of course, that it's going to be a clean sweep for Diego Pacheco. Yeah, and still, it was a pretty wide margin. I think they gave him at least 9 rounds out of 12, 9 rounds for Diego Pacheco to at most 3 rounds for Steve Nelson, which does sound about right. And they could have given Steven Nelson a few, a couple more rounds at most, but yeah, that was definitely a solid defense by Diego Pacheco. Okay, so for what it's worth, we will take a look at what's going on in the BKFC circle. Here we have, is it Ben Rothwell versus, I'm not sure whom. Okay, so apparently this is a BKFC belt on the line here for Mr. Rothwell and his opponent. Ben Rothwell. I got a full beard and mustache, shaved head. This would be interesting if he can become a bare knuckle champion, I suppose. So Ben Rothwell is fighting Mick Terrell, BKFC Heavyweight Championship. Who do you guys have? You think Rothwell can pull it off? I know nothing about this guy Mick Terrell, so. So Mick Terrell is from England, apparently. Oh, I might have mispronounced his last name. I think it might be Tyrell. Not sure. So Ben Rothwell, holy cow, he's huge. He almost dwarfs this fellow Mick. How much does Ben Rothwell weigh? He's just huge. Okay, both men fighting out of orthodox. Both men starting out with a jab. Ben kind of leaning over to his right. Oh, was there an eye poke? Mick is kind of making eye wiping motions. Yeah, it looks like Ben had his fingers extended. Suppose that's an issue. Is oh goodness gracious. A 1-2 and Ben just drops him flat on his back. Well, good for Ben Rothwell. He's a world champion BKFC fighter. Holy cow. That was a perfect 1-2. That wasn't even an exchange. It was just all Ben Rothwell. That's crazy. This guy, Mick, just got laid out flat. I hope he's okay. What an overjoyed Ben Rothwell. Well, good for him, man, because that was a perfect 1-2. Okay, what's the officials getting annoyed and telling him to go? I don't know what he's telling him to do. They're trying to make Ben Rothwell stay in a certain part of the circle. I don't know why. All right, I guess now the medical staff's attending to his opponent, Mick Tyrell. Yeah, it was just a 1-2. And his opponent was laid straight out. I mean, it was a counter punches. His opponent was trying to throw a left hook, and Ben just in the middle of countering, landed that right hand right on his chin. Incredibly, incredibly precise. Congratulations, Ben Rothwell. That was crazy. That was a crazy KO. For sure, that's going to be a meme on all social media because it was so quick and short. All right. Do you guys ever watch BKFC, or do you watch more UFC and more MMA? I mean, MMA and boxing. All right, so we've got the main event coming up, but congratulations to Ben Rothwell on becoming a world champion in bare knuckle fighting. So his opponent, Mick Terrell, who got knocked out, is still sitting down on a stool. Makes sense. Be very careful. Even just asking him to stand up. Now he rises up. Doctor's kind of checking him out. And they are walking him. They have to tell him to walk here, walk there. Excuse me. Doctor's checking him out. They're directing him around. I don't know. This is the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, I assume, taking care of these BKFC fights. Oh, it is, Charles, it is Conor McGregor. It's not a nightmare, it's a reality. I guess Conor McGregor is part owner of BKFC or something. It has some sort of business stake in it. 36 seconds. Okay, so he's the new heavyweight champion. Ben Rothwell, new BKFC heavyweight champion. All right, so we're in this circle getting a post-fight interview from Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell certainly knows how to address the crowd after a fight. He sounds like a WWE fighter. He's very theatrical. Oh, now, yeah, Ben Rothwell is an absolute professional post-fight interviewee. He really knows how to address the crowd. He's praising the promoter, and his delivery is just assertive. It's theatrical, and yes, Mr. Conor McGregor in his leprechaun green uh, velveteen suit is right there. Pretty incredible. I think the fight was 36 seconds long, they said. Yeah, that's going to be a meme, I think. If it's not already on social media, I'm sure you can find it. You'll be able to find it very soon. But beautiful placement of that right hand by Ben Rothwell. Again, his opponent was trying to throw a left hook, and he cut the circle, right? He cut the arc. Shorter distance for his straight right hand to his opponent's chin. Just clipped him, and the fellow was flat out on his back, hands down at his side. He did get up, and he looks like he's okay. Got checked out by the doctors with the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. So, um, we wish him all the best as he recuperates from that concussion. All right, now cutting to ads. I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. So please give me 1 minute. Okay, hope you enjoyed looking at the fireplace. So we are waiting for the main event on this BKFC card. Nicolina is going to sing the Star Spangled Banner, or she is singing the Star Spangled Banner. I don't know who Nicolina is. Maybe you guys do. Who do you guys have for Adesanya next week? He's fighting somebody I'm not familiar with. Imavov, something like that. Right, if you're just joining us, we are listening to the Star Spangled Banner being sung prior to the main event on BKFC. The main event is Eddie Alvarez versus um, Jeremy Stevens, both former UFC fighters. So that was really the main reason I'm sort of even watching this. I don't really have much interest in bare knuckle fighting, but the curiosity factor is there to see these two MMA veterans fight in the circled square. Okay, so the Star Spangled Banner is being dragged out here in the city of brotherly love. This BKFC card is taking place in Philly. Okay, we're almost there, guys. On to the last line of the Star Spangled Banner. Land of the free. And the home of the brave. Now, she dragged that out to multiple syllables, but in any case, looks like the venue, wherever this is in Philly, is pretty full. All right, so let's look at the tail of the tape. Jeremy has about a 1-inch height advantage, 2-inch reach advantage, supposedly, slight fist size advantage, and they both weighed in at under 166. So let's see. This is a welterweight matchup. Eddie Alvarez versus Jeremy Stevens in bare knuckle fighting. Now here's the thing, for their ring walk, it's a longer ramp, so it's a little more dramatic, right? I noticed that they also do that, they've been doing that for a while in Japan with the MMA fights there. You know, in fact, the fighters come down sort of a stairs and a ramp, so it's quite dramatic. The boxing fights we just saw at the Cosmopolitan with the Zone, that ring walk is just like, it almost looks like it's 10 feet, like a 10-foot walkway to the ring. So it's kind of anticlimactic in my opinion, but in any case. I can't tell from this distance if that's Eddie Alvarez or Jeremy Stevens that's making their way to the ring right now. I don't know. Do you call it a ring even though it's circular? It's Jeremy Stevens is in the ring. He's wearing red trunks. And he's in the red corner. So he's got his mohawk, mullet type thing going on. Now, do you guys know, Jeremy Stevens and Eddie Alvarez, are they friends? Because somebody asked before, why the heck is Alvarez even fighting? He's made so much money, right? But, you know, maybe he just wants a reason to train. Maybe he wants to give Jeremy Stevens a chance to make some money with this BKFC stuff. I don't know. I mean, I don't think for either guy it's really about the money. I think it's really more for the opportunity to fight. And quite honestly, at this stage of their career, I don't think they get fired up about some type of rivalry. It's almost like a collaboration, right, for these guys to fight each other. Because they got nothing to prove. They're already UFC fighters. That's the pinnacle of MMA for MMA fighters. So you're already in the major leagues. You don't have to prove anything else to yourself or anybody, really. So I think it's just the opportunity to get out there and, you know, train really hard for a fight, move towards a goal. I don't think it's about the money for either man, but I hope they are getting compensated well, seeing as they are in fact the main event for this card. But I'm guessing that they're more friends than they are rivals. I don't think it's like, I don't think it's like one of those things where, like Paulie Malignaggi just had absolute disdain for Artem Lobov when he fought in BKFC. And that was real. Oh, it's kind of funny that Conor McGregor has the same green leprechaun suit, like same color as the announcer. Okay, 5 2-minute rounds. Okay, so there's 3 judges, just like there are for boxing. Dan Margliotta is the referee. So here we go, another familiar face from MMA and the UFC. Trying to see who's in Jeremy Stevens' corner, but I can't quite tell because they're cutting him out of the frame. So we are watching BKFC, the main event taking place in Philadelphia tonight. We have Jeremy Stevens taking on Eddie Alvarez. And my main interest in this fight, of course, is the fact that they're both former UFC fighters. Let's see how they can do throwing their fists alone. No kicking, no knees, no elbows, no grappling, no throws to the ground, and no submissions on the ground. Just straight up knuckles to your face and body. Okay, Jeremy Stevens is 2-0 in BKFC. No, he's still using his UFC name, Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. Interesting. Now we have Eddie Alvarez being announced. So I think Eddie Alvarez's record in BKFC is 1-1. All right, so let's see how this goes down. What do you guys think? Who do you have winning this? Jeremy or Eddie? This is interesting because they don't start in a corner that doesn't exist. They start on a line. All right, both men are fighting out of orthodox stance. Nice feints from both men. They're both moving kind of clockwise. Both standing right in the center of this circle, toe to toe. They both throw a jab that misses. Alvarez comes with a 1-2 and a 2. Stevens answers back with a couple of jabs of his own. This is such a high risk game, right? Alvarez with his lead right. Oh, then he goes down to the body nicely. Overhand right from Alvarez. Stevens kind of marching forward a little bit with small steps. Misses with a big body shot. Both men back to the jab. Both men having very responsible defense. And nice rhythm, nice timing on their movements. Stevens blocking with kind of a traditional MMA style guard, which means you put your palm on your head and you raise your elbow. Stevens taking very disciplined small steps towards Alvarez, and Alvarez kind of trying to use that upper body motion to set something up or to just feint a little bit. Nice double jab 1-2 by Alvarez. Lead 2, jab. This is a hard round to score, but I think we have to give it to Alvarez just for having slightly more output than Stevens. These are short rounds. They're 5 2-minute rounds, so I would give that round to Eddie Alvarez based on output and landing more effective punches. There wasn't a lot of volume from either man in that fight, in that round, but Alvarez has the edge. Okay, so terrible camera work, terrible production, because they're giving us a shot of the BKFC cut man. Can't even see the fighter. You can see the fighter's corner on the other side, outside the ring. Can't see the fighter at all. So they should figure out where to position the cameraman a little better. Okay, here we go. We're off to the second round. Second of 5 rounds. Both men starting with their right foot on the line. And there's the bell. Right away, Alvarez advances with a series of jabs. As Stevens tries to move away, Alvarez lands a body shot. Now he comes with the 1-2. Level changes down. Oh, nice hook lands for Jeremy. Stevens, oh, nice right hand, but he gets clocked by Alvarez on the chin. So simultaneous jabs lands for Alvarez. Alvarez opens up. Jeremy's trying to cover up. Now they're in kind of a clinch. Oh, Alvarez really starting to open up on Stevens. Stevens trying to move away. Alvarez clinches, grabs behind the head. Miragliotta breaks him up. Back to the center of the circle. Stevens opens with a straight right hand, tries to for the left hook, but misses. Alvarez does the big left hook. Stevens counters with the right hand. Alvarez dips under. Both men fall into a clinch. Alvarez has Stevens behind the neck. They're both throwing body shots while they're in the clinch. Nice double jab right hand. Uppercut to the body from Alvarez. He's pushing Stevens back. He's got Stevens right on the ropes. Grabs him around the waist. Both men fall into a clinch. Under overs. Back to the center of the circle. Alvarez right back to the jab. Goes for a jab, overhand right. Stevens covering up. Throwing a single jab. Stevens throws another single jab, and that's the round. These are short rounds, guys. All right, that's the second of 2 rounds, and I got Alvarez winning both. Interesting that neither man, I don't know, do you not sit down on a stool? You just got to bend down and look out of the ropes at your corner? I'm not sure if that's a standard thing or that's just what they're choosing to do, these two fighters. As I mentioned, I'm really not a big BKFC fan. This is the first time I've really paid any attention to it, and it only because I'm familiar with the 2 men fighting in this main event, Eddie Alvarez and Jeremy Stevens, both former UFC fighters. So I think Alvarez is winning the first 2 rounds based on his output and effectively landing more shots. Here we go with round number 3, and right away we got Alvarez pumping the jab, double jab right hand. He tries to roll under and comes up with a hook, but gets dropped by something. He gets dropped on all 4s. Not sure what happened there. He gives a thumbs up. Miragliotta asks him to move around, and the action resumes. Not sure what happened there. Okay, Alvarez back to the jab. Jab right hand. Kind of backing Stevens up towards the ropes. Comes in with a jab right hand to the body. Mergliata sets him back to the center of the circle. Oh, Stevens comes with a hard, but gets countered by Alvarez. Somebody in the audience is just screaming their head off, and it's really annoying. All right. Alvarez marching forward, kind of doing a walking step forward. Got an underhook with Stevens against the rope. Stevens just trying to hit him with the free hand. Mergliata walks both fighters back to the center of the circle. And we have Alvarez opening up, holding Stevens behind the head and then hitting him in the body. Yeah, dirty boxing is, I mean, I guess it's okay. Back to the center. Alvarez with the jab. Jab 1-2 does catch Jeremy Stevens. His jab catches Stevens. Stevens comes back with a hard 1-2. And Alvarez drops to one knee. Alvarez is up at 8. And that's the bell. Holy cow. So Alvarez, in spite of doing better, performing better than Stevens, he's gotten dropped twice. So at this point, yeah, he tagged Stevens, and then Stevens came back with a really hard right hook that dropped Alvarez to all fours. So in spite of Alvarez winning on points, so to speak, like by landing more punches, just takes one hard shot, right, to change the entire landscape. Now Alvarez is getting checked out, I think. Oh, is that it? Oh, that's it. Holy cow. Stevens won that. I'm not sure if the doctor stopped it or Eddie Alvarez's corner stopped it. I mean, he looked good, but, you know, just a couple hard counters from Stevens changed the whole thing. Well, surprising. Well, congrats to Jeremy Stevens, the little heathen Stevens. And he steps through the ropes to talk to the head man. Not sure what he's saying. Kind of like jumping out the cage type thing. Goes back into the circle. So let's see. They're going to give us a replay here. You have Steven just run at Alvarez and then clock him with a 1-2 that drops Alvarez to one knee. Now we got Jeremy Stevens yelling at the camera. I'm not sure what he's saying. Getting hugged up from his corner. Well, good for him, man. It's always nice to see somebody cross over to another sport and do well. Both men, I would be happy for either man. I'm happy for both of them to get the chance to get in there and do it. You know, it's like just getting another shot at fighting. And the surprising thing to me is I really thought Alvarez was doing well, but just takes that one shot, right? You know, we have Alvarez heading across the circle to congratulate Stevens' corner. Wow. Okay, so let me hear what actually happened here. Okay, so this is Alvarez's corner's decision to stop the fight. So either Alvarez said no mas to his corner, or his corner said, dude, you're done. Like, you got dropped twice. So good job for Jeremy Stevens. I don't think any of us saw that coming, right? Okay, and also a veteran at addressing the crowd after the fight. He's doing the WWE kind of tone and delivery. And now we got Mr. McGregor, of course, on camera behind him in this like crazy green and black and yellow shirt. So McGregor knows how to stick himself in the camera shot. So the guy on the mic asked Jeremy Stevens what he attributed the his win to, and Jeremy says speed, and then just he says I lost 1,000 times in the UFC, but I got back up 1,003 times or something like that. I mean, I don't think he actually has 1,000 losses, but I think he's just saying, hey, he was persistent. Great. So both Ben Rothwell and Jeremy Stevens just absolutely channeling that WWE type energy in the ring. Absolutely appropriate. Now we have, of course, Leprechaun Conor McGregor coming up to Stevens, saying something, grabbing the mic. And they're kind of mugging it up for the camera, sticking their foreheads together, sticking their fists together. So we'll see. Doesn't doesn't Conor McGregor owe what's his name a fight? Michael Chandler? I don't know. But I guess we'll probably never see that one. All right, well that was surprising to me. I would have thought Eddie Alvarez would have won that, but hey, all credit to Jeremy Stevens. He did drop Eddie Alvarez not once but twice. The second time hard enough for to convince him that that was it. That was enough. I mean, again, whether that was Alvarez's own decision or it was Alvarez's corner doesn't really matter. Um, he was rocked pretty hard, especially the second time. All right, guys. Hey, so it's been, I think, just over 3 hours of our live, both boxing and little BKFC. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Please do hit the subscribe button. Please do hit the notification bell so you know the next time I post some content or the next time we do a live. As always, if you enjoy the videos, if you enjoy the content, you're always welcome to leave a super thanks. You could, and hey, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but all of the merch is on sale, 15% off until January 27th. So you got tomorrow and Monday to get 15% off all the merch that's on the merch shelf below. Now, the other thing you should know is there's so much more available than what you can see on the merch shelf. I can't actually control that. YouTube decides what's going to show up on my shelf. But if you click on any one of them, you can get over to the shop and then start browsing around, I think. You'll find that every item, there's multiple colors, obviously different sizes, and then everything comes in, multiple different brands, say, of t-shirts. So um, you'll have different blends of materials and you might recognize some of the brand names. My favorite, this is a women's crop t-shirt. It says hard work plus hard work plus hard work. In my shorts, you see me wearing the men's ultra fitted t-shirt. Those are my two favorite items. And honestly, I just buy t-shirts to work out in. I don't consider them a fashion statement for me. They're just pretty much always just for working out. You can also get hoodies. There's also, in addition to the hard work design, there's one that says Judo Bum for Life, and there's one that says 2.5% Strength Club. If you take a look at the font on that one, you might get the joke. If you get the joke, drop me a comment letting me know what you think the joke is. All right, so again, 15%, 15% off all merch between today, from now until Monday the 27th. So be sure to head over to the Hamaguchi Fight Shop. It's on Spread Shop or Spread Shirt. I think you can get to it from either website. So once again, thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on our live stream, and I will see you the next time.